The LA Dodgers are your World Series champions, beating the Toronto Blue Jays in 7 games. In any case, the Dodgers are the first team since the 2000 New York Yankees to win back-to-back World Series championships. You have Yoshinobu Yamamoto having one of the greatest World Series performances by a starting pitcher, winning the World Series MVP. I believe he's the first pitcher since Steven Strasburg to win the award. Regardless, it was such a hard-fought series. It's definitely going to be a World Series to remember for many, many years down the line. And the Blue Jays had such a great chance of winning up 3-2 in the series, ultimately losing in Game 7. And they were leading in Game 7 and just a meltdown and a choke job for the ages. But it really started raising the question, does MLB need a salary cap? Because you see the Dodgers, one of the big spenders nearly every season, or being able to acquire talent the way they do. It has really started becoming a more and more of a hot button topic. A lockout's going to be becoming just a negotiation tactic by the owners in order to try to strong arm their way. A lot of the owners want to see a salary cap. There's a group of fans out there that want to see a salary cap in baseball as well, and I'm going to talk about it. But first, a message. The world has never been more entangled with gambling. What used to be a taboo topic that could get your kneecap stolen by the mob or some shit is now plastered across NBA arenas, baseball broadcasts, and even team partnerships. I think I may have a solution, and said solution is curated by the engine of Vendetta Sports Media with Vendetta Fantasy Contest. VFC offers the quote non-alcoholic beer alternative to gambling. It gives fans the rush of picking spreads and money line totals without the risk of losing your hard-earned money that Mikal Bridges was going to take away from you after placing that 15-leg parlay for $5. You can use that same $5 instead of chasing payouts, and users compete for pride, rankings, and community bragging rights. You can challenge friends or join a public contest, all while testing your sports knowledge in a safe, regulated, and legal environment. VFC is built around responsible competition. It captures the excitement of predicting outcomes without the addiction-forming dopamine cycles that come with traditional betting apps, where the remorse of losing is all too familiar. At a time when gambling stories are dominating headlines for the wrong reasons, platforms like Vendetta Fantasy Contest can be the bridge between entertainment and ethics. With your help, view it as your sportsbooks meeting your favorite fantasy sports apps, bundled into one safe haven, free of the risks that these alternatives fail to protect you from. If you go to the Vendetta Fantasy Contest website and you enter this promo code, you will be able to get started for absolutely free. Definitely want to take advantage of, because this won't last forever. Vendetta Fantasy Contest is the future, and we would love for you guys to be a part of it. Vendetta Fantasy Contest could be the model for what fan engagement looks like in 2025 and beyond. If you go to Vendetta Fantasy Contest right now, there is a November NBA regular season public contest that I started, so feel free to go and join in and compete against me. Support Vendetta Fantasy Contest, support Vendetta Sports Media, subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff. Really appreciate any and all support you guys can give us. It means the world, and it helps us out more than you know. Looking at the LA Dodgers and looking at the World Series this year, the Blue Jays had such a great chance to win the World Series. Out-hit the Dodgers in Game 6, but unfortunately they get doubled off to end the game with the tying run on base. Obviously, with the ball getting stuck in the center field fence, it just seemed like it was an omen for the Blue Jays and their fans. The Blue Jays get out to an early lead because Bo Bichette pretty much gives his parting gift to the fan base, because we don't know if he's going back to Toronto. We're not sure, and I feel like there's definitely some suitors out there for him, and definitely will be somebody I dive into in the near future. The Blue Jays were up 4-3 in the top of the ninth, and Miguel Rojas, with the swing of his life, albeit it wasn't the prettiest swing in the world, but he had enough of it to get it out into the left field seats to tie the World Series. The Blue Jays even had the bases loaded with less than 2 out. They find a way to not score. Dodgers had the bases loaded as well, but it takes Will Smith hitting a go-ahead home run, and the Blue Jays had a chance to at least tie the game with a Vladdy double. They had the tying run on third. Alejandro Kirk grounds out into a double play. World Series over. And it's plastered on the internet, there needs to be a salary cap in baseball. I feel there's a lot of ignorance around the situation of a salary cap in baseball. People may believe having a salary cap in baseball means that all their issues with their own teams are going to get solved. No, that's not exactly what's going to happen. The Dodgers, they were second in MLB in payroll. The New York Mets were number 1, and the Blue Jays were in the top 5 as well in terms of payroll. And there's teams like the Guardians and the Rays, in spite of not spending, they are consistently in the postseason. They are consistently a competitive team. But then you have other teams like the Pirates that haven't been in the postseason in over a decade. The Athletics are notorious for not keeping their homegrown stars. And you got teams like the Colorado Rockies with their front offices being just so inept. That team is just a bottom feeder. Getting a salary cap in baseball is not going to fix the stupidity among front offices. People point out the Dodgers as being the example. The only thing I would give people when they speak about the Dodgers, the loophole that they found to bring in Shohei Ohtani, deferring God knows how much of a percentage of his contract, most of his contract, that opens up their financial flexibility to be able to bring in guys like Teoscar Hernandez, be able to keep guys and bring in guys like Blake Snell, potentially get Kyle Tucker in the offseason, and it seems like they're the top destination for him. That was the whole point of the Shohei Ohtani contract and how it was structured. You have a Dodger team with Shohei Ohtani, with Mookie Betts, with Freddie Freeman, Will Smith. The list goes on and on. Who can blame the Dodgers for being a smart organization? You got to remember, a lot of the guys that I named, they were brought in because other teams allowed it to happen. Look at Shohei Ohtani, the Dodgers' best player and the best player in the league right now. The story is Shohei Ohtani went back to the Angels with the offer that the Dodgers gave him. If you match this contract, I will stay. The Angels said no. Artie Moreno, their owner, said no. He ends up going to the Dodgers. Mookie Betts, he was the Red Sox's best player. The Red Sox thought Mookie Betts was going to age like shit. The Red Sox did not want to pay Mookie Betts. The Red Sox undervalued Mookie Betts. To be fair to some people in Red Sox Nation, I do think Mookie Betts would have tested free agency and it would have probably happened to be the Dodgers. The Red Sox traded Mookie Betts to the Dodgers. Nothing worth the value of Mookie Betts, whether or not they still had to pay him or whatnot. Like, the Red Sox could have gotten so much more from Mookie Betts. They chose to send him to the Dodgers. And now he has 3 World Series rings on top of it. Tyler Glasnow, the Rays traded Tyler Glasnow. A couple years ago, they sent Blake Snell to the Padres. They sent Willy Adames to the Brewers. Blake Snell eventually signs with the Dodgers. Nobody wanted Teoscar Hernandez because he had such a bad season with the Mariners. He goes to the Dodgers, and now he's such a hot commodity when he goes back into free agency. He goes back to the Dodgers. And not only that, the Dodgers are so good when it comes to player development. They have one of the top prospects in baseball, Josue DePaula. And he's somebody you can possibly trade to maybe get a Tarek Skubal if they bring in Kyle Tucker. People can be frustrated with the way the Dodgers are operating. Be frustrated with the fact that your team, not only do they not want to pay their players, they don't have the personnel in place to make the right front office decisions. It comes down to front office intelligence and ownership greed. Any team in baseball can be doing what the Dodgers are doing in terms of trying to spend and try to create winners. People will look at the Yankees, they'll look at the Mets, they'll look at the Dodgers. If you're not a fan of any of these teams, you're going to look at, they needs a salary cap because, for one, your team can't bring in key free agents, or 2, your team doesn't want to pay their homegrown stars. Look at the Brewers, for example. A very young team, a team that's on the rise. They got dog walked in the NLCS because they just weren't ready. They were outclassed by the Dodgers. I'm seeing Brewers fans talk about there needs to be a salary cap in baseball. That's not going to change anything. The whole point of being in any professional sport is ideally to win the whole damn thing in your respective sport. At the Blue Jays, this close to winning a World Series. Jeff Hoffman doesn't throw a middle breaking ball to Miguel Rojas. Blue Jays probably are celebrating a World Series right now in a different timeline. You have the Pirates going to be pissing away the next 3 or 4 years of Paul Skeens to eventually either trade him or to lose him for nothing for one of these big market teams like the Yankees or the Dodgers. The Pirates would rather waste the career of Paul Skeens than to bring in talent to help him get to the postseason. The Pirates, the Athletics have some of the most notable names in MLB history, have such great history in those organizations. The Pirates don't pay anybody. The Guardians are good in spite of ownership not trying to bring anybody in. A salary cap ain't going to change anything. I can't blame the Dodgers for anything that they're doing. That's the model type of organization that every team should try to strive to be. But they made themselves an attractive destination. It also helps that being in California. On top of that, consistent winning, a history of championships. Now, have some of the best players in the league, a great farm system that they can go out and acquire talent. They're saying to the other 29 teams in the league, catch up. People continue to try to blame these big market teams of why their teams are shit and why they won't win shit. It's because your teams are not going to go that extra mile. And the front office making boneheaded decisions instead of trying to keep their players. Because there's all this fun about seeing guys like, Tarek Skubal could potentially be traded. Pete Alonso. Not only would a salary cap be detrimental just for the league as a whole, it would be detrimental to the players. Why would the players go for something like that? Because you see these mega contracts. The whole idea of a salary cap is taking away player empowerment in that sense. Teams would have to give up less control on the players in their first half of their careers so guys can hit free agency sooner so they can get the big contract sooner in their career. You really get one chance to get that big money contract unless you're really good as you get older. It will make for a lot more active free agencies and seeing big names hit the free agent market more often, which would be nice. This is how teams like the Rays and the Brewers make their money, able to remain sustainable. They use up nearly all the team control they can for their young players. And then when they're a year away from free agency, They know they're not going to pay him, so they ship him out. Adding a salary cap in baseball is not going to change poor decision making among inept franchises like the Rockies players. It's not going to create some sort of even playing field. Since the year 2000, there's been 14 different teams that have won the World Series. A vast majority of the league does not care enough. If you're upset at the Dodgers organization and their ability to keep having such a surplus of talent at their disposal and being such an attractive destination for free agents, I think it's more of a wake-up call to the rest of the league to try and keep up, actually care about building a winner. Because you think that every single team in this league cares about winning World Series championships? I don't think so. Because if Paul Skeens, for example, was in any winning organization, any organization that had any sort of aspirations of making it into the postseason, prioritize the window that they have. The Pirates, on the other hand, are pissing away the opportunity because they have a generational pitcher. All they give a damn about is how much money they're going to be able to pocket instead of actually trying to build a winner around your generational pitcher who's going to lead this team in 5 years. The rest of the league allowed the Dodgers to be what they are. Don't blame the Dodgers. You blame the Rays. You blame the Red Sox. You blame teams like the Pirates, the Guardians, and the A's. People lobbying for a salary cap in baseball have no idea what they're talking about because it's only going to be a detriment to the rest of the league, to the players, and to the fan experience as a whole. I just think the idea of a salary cap is stupid. The league needs to have more concern about how to get teams to get that motivation for World Series. Teams being comfortable being mediocre year after year after year. And it's such a disservice to their fan base and such a disservice to the game of baseball that there's people like that in this league that don't care about trying to win the biggest prize that this sport has to offer, but then have a problem when they see a team like the Dodgers, who they make money off of, have that success because they don't want to. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to like the video, share it around with your friends, and subscribe. I'm going to have plenty of off-season stuff planned for you guys this year, and we're 140 plus days away from first pitch of the 2026 MLB season. Let me know you guys' hot takes and all that stuff down below. Appreciate any and all support you guys can give the channel. With all that being said, guys, this is going to do it for me, and I'll see you guys in the next one.